I want to show two things in SolidWorks before we get into this keyshot demo. And that was things we've talked about last class. So one of them was how to bring like a logo into SolidWorks. And I mentioned you can do that from Illustrator. So it sounds like you all know about this, brandsoftheworld.com, but for those of you that don't, it's a way to get vector files of like big brand logos. So I mean, earlier I searched Sony just to test it out, but I don't know if anyone wants to throw out a logo. Fiat 500 here. We could go like Nike. Casio. Nike's easy. Casio. Let's do Casio next. Let's go. All right. Here you go. So we can find our you can search for whatever brand you want. We got Casio here. You can download the EPS. You sign away your soul by clicking I agree. So it downloads an EPS file, which is a vector file. It's like a more universal file, is my understanding. So you can then load Illustrator. Go ahead and open up the Casio logo. When it comes in, yeah, apparently there is extra stuff here. Sometimes it's also like in a bounding box. So I don't know, you can delete out this extra stuff. But yeah, as long as it's just the logo, it is what you want. Here you go to File, Export, Export As. Or again, if you created a trace or something in Illustrator, this is what you would do. So Export As, and what you want to export as is a .dwg. So you can go ahead and hit Export. Just click OK. And then when you're in SolidWorks, if you go File, Open, you can navigate to that DWG file that you just created. Click Open, and click Import to New Part as 2D Sketch. And just go ahead and click Finish. You don't need any of the other settings. And this should bring in a Casio sketch in SolidWorks. And that's basically it. That's how you go from Illustrator to SolidWorks. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to try and open the EPS directly. There's a chance that SolidWorks works better now. Okay, no, it doesn't. So yeah, you have to convert it to a DWG. So yeah, some things you can do with this. So for example, so again, Hannah, for you, this would be good for that UE part of your file. This is what I would recommend doing. So if we have like a solid body here, we can then use this and like cut in a 3D logo. What it asks you to do if you're using the sketch as a cut extrude, because there's lots of like open cavities, contours, it doesn't know what to do. So you have to go in here and manually select inside of each of the letters in order for it to do what you want. If you want to be super fancy, you can get the restricted logo too. And then you can cut that into your file. I don't think this applies. This is maybe something you might want to do on your redesign. And again, the only person I can think of that has to do this for their render copy is Hannah. For what it's worth, you can also, if you draw a line here, there is this command, text tool. So the way it works is it helps if you have a line for construction. This way, so now when you select the for construction line and you click on the text tool, you can now type whatever logo you want. So again, for you, Hannah, it's UE. If you download fonts from DaFont, they should load in here. So whatever weird font you want, you try Wingdings. But I don't know. Let's see if Wingdings works. It does. And then I believe you should be able to just straight up extrude the wingding here. So that's probably a smoother way for you to do it. You can bypass the whole Illustrator thing and just type in UE and extrude it. I mean, I'm just basing it on looking at.
Because it's the same as the button.
as this. So yes, although I'll be honest, I'm interpreting these buttons as going in. Although that wouldn't make any sense. Okay. Okay.
That's why that feature, the detail picture I put up, has those rays.
Oh, okay.
That's what those buttons are.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, it's just talking about like how to approach this.
Cool.
Cool. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that aspect? The other thing I wanted to talk about is, if you recall on Max's, what is this called? Humidifier? Air purifier. There's like these like curved cuts in here. I talked about it last time, but didn't show you all and said I would show you and then didn't. So just to show you all and reminder what we talked about. So the air purifier has, you'll see it in a minute here. It has a bunch of perforations that are radiating like this. So you could, and this again, I showed you all last time how to do like a thin cut or a thin extrude rather with the fan blades, or not the fan blades, the fan like slats. This is another way to do that. So this is only half of the pattern. You can offset this to whatever direction you want. You know, set the offset that you want it to go by. Offset it again. Unfortunately, like the radius is disappearing. Let's see if we make this bigger. We can just quickly fix that. There we go. And now with an extrude cut, if you select the thin feature here, you can play with the thickness of this. I would set it to the middle. And this is a quick way for Max to do his perforations or vents. Reminder that when you are doing vents, you know, if you go to like a flat body like this, it won't be as dark and it's going to look more like a groove. So you can either just go deeper, or if you, for example, did something like this, where you just kind of cut a cavity back here, just so it looks like it's going into something dark, I think the render will look better if you take the time to do this. But however, reminder to not cut a vent all the way through something, because then you don't want to be able to see like light through the other side of a vent. I would probably recommend doing a vent something similar to this, where it kind of goes into like a dark hole. I think that's going to render best. If you're lazy and don't want to do this, just cut this like deeper, and that's another workaround. Any questions on these processes? So yeah, the tutorial, I mean, you can all get into this later, but obviously fire up keyshot. So today we're getting into just some more advanced things in keyshot, mainly textures, okay? So in order to do that, I need to bring up an object. So this is actually on the second page here, but you may all be aware of this. If you go to Edit, Add Geometry, you have a couple options here for some basic geometry. Today for the tutorial, if you just want to like do a cube, that's fine. You know, check the scale box and drag this. I think you all know this. Snap to ground. And you can just mess with this cube and just adding different textures to it. So if I double click on this, it'll bring up the material editing on the right, this custom material. And here, if I click on textures, there's 3 different boxes here. And I'll go through these one at a time, but I just want to talk about this sheet I handed out. So this one on the left, color, this is like a wrapping paper. Whatever image you choose, it's just going to wrap the object in that. Bump is a 3D texture. It's just adding an actual perception of like 3D to the object. Keyshot will calculate the lighting and the shadow and make it look like, there's like a bump to it. Topography, right? Yeah. It's somewhat limited, but it works pretty well. We'll see it in a second. Opacity is good for like meshes. It's a way to like have a texture that has some parts able to see through and some parts being obscured. I have it written here. White in the mask means visible. Black means see-through. Again, as I demo this here, these things should be more clear, but I'm just showing you what we're looking at. And then finally on the right side here is labels. this is like adding a sticker to the box. So we'll go through this one at a time. I mean, this is kind of what the sheets show with some of the settings. Like this first page is just kind of an overview explaining what we're looking at. I don't know, there's gonna be a bit of flipping back and forth here. So okay, to begin with, let's look at adding a wrapping paper texture. The thing I was planning for was cork, but I'm happy to do anything. Does anyone have any suggestions? And this is how I recommend you approach it, is by first searching for it in Google. Linen cloth. Let's go tweed texture. And then what I would recommend in the images is if you go to tools and say size large, sometimes that helps you get, better fidelity. Should we try something weird like this one? I don't know. Let me know which one y'all want me to pick. Well, no, so I intend to do this as both an image and a bump at the same time. Yeah, and I'll show you how to do that. This red one here? Yes, I can talk about that. This looks a little bit pixelated to me. Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Yeah, let's try this. You know what? It's possible that it just doesn't exist anymore. Let's try this one. All right. So anyway, you guys get the point. Go to Google, type in. No, you don't have to do it now. You can do this later by yourself. But you can do it now too. It's up to you. It's up to you. So you can download it on Google, right? Whatever image you might want. I have mine here on the desktop. So now simply here in Keyshot, double click your box to select the material, go to textures, check this box, and now here you can navigate to the material you just downloaded, click check, and then it applies it to the box. Keyshot's pretty good at just simply taking that and making it work. You do have some settings here where you can play with the size of it, make it really fine to massive. So you can slide this. If you, no, let's leave that locked. Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's try it. This says lock aspects. And I don't know. Oh yeah, so you can change width and height differently. So you can stretch it one way. And this should make it look stripy. So yeah, I broke it. I broke it, everybody. Oh, because I locked it at that weird aspect, that's why. So unlock, make them even, and now we're good. Cool. So yeah, that's a simple way to apply texture. Again, any of you that have texture, this is how I go about it. Let me close some of these programs to make sure my computer doesn't rebel against me. So yeah, we're just talking about this. So yes, you can, I didn't know this, you can, with your wrapping paper here, down here there's a setting that says blend with color, where you can have a color selector, in this case yellow, and just check this box and it will color your image. So I didn't know that, that's awesome. So yeah, good to know, be aware that exists. So this is just the color texture setting, and again, just